Hey students, this week's topic is all about dramatic play for the KEC Early Childhood Education course. First, we're going to do a brief introduction to dramatic play to learn what it's all about. So what is dramatic play? It is a time and a place where children pretend to be something different than themselves. So pretending is a big part of dramatic play. Children may pretend, for example, to be a parent, a grandparent, a storekeeper, a mechanic, a doctor, a pizza baker, etc. When children engage in dramatic play, they deepen their understanding of the world in which they live, and they develop skills that will serve them throughout their lives. So dramatic play is very important. A quote I found from the Illinois Early Learning Project states, "Drama involves pretending in a variety of situations. It helps children develop imagination, language skills, cooperation, and other social skills, confidence, and creative expression." All the things listed there are things that we want to help children develop when they're in our care and education. So how does dramatic play help children learn and develop? We're going to focus on a few different areas. First of all, social emotional. What does it do for children? It helps children to negotiate roles. They need to figure out just who's going to do what, who's going to be the baby, who's going to be the parent, etc. Children learn to cooperate to portray different situations. For example, if they had a hospital setting, one might be the patient, another be the doctor, another be the nurse, another be the bookkeeper, another be the receptionist, etc. Another thing it does is it helps children to learn and demonstrate skills such as care, empathy, helpfulness, etc. when they serve in a role. So we want children to grow up to be caring, empathetic individuals who are helpful to others, so it's good for them to practice these roles during dramatic play. Next, we're going to look at the physical domain of development. Dramatic play can help children to develop small muscle skills when they're buttoning, zipping, etc., as they put on dramatic play clothes. They also practice visual discrimination skills and eye-hand coordination when they put materials away and use materials in different ways. Language and literacy is next. Children use language to describe just what they're doing and to ask questions of others. For example, in a restaurant setting, a child may say, "May I take your order?" Or if you have a car shop, the mechanic may say, "So what seems to be the problem with your car today?" So they learn to ask questions and communicate. They also use reading and writing skills when they use the props that you, the teacher, provide in the dramatic play center. Next area is cognitive development. So children create pictures in their mind when they remember past experiences and they imagine just what to do. So children, as they create, they're thinking of something that they've done at home perhaps, or something they've seen others done, or they're just really imagining what they would do in a situation in which they're in. Another cognitive enhancement is children explore math concepts when they set the table for using one-to-one correspondence or when they use play money. So one-to-one correspondence is just really understanding that if there are 4 chairs at a table, you would want to put 4 plates at the table, 4 cups at the table, 4 spoons, 4 knives, etc. That's how children learn one-to-one correspondence. Another cognitive thing is children share ideas and problem solve together. As they work together to act out a situation, they do a lot of problem solving, figuring out just how they want to do things. The next part of this presentation, we're going to look at ways in which teachers can encourage children to engage in dramatic play in their classroom learning environment. First recommendation is to offer dramatic play every day, everywhere. So a regular fixture that you're going to see in a lot of early childhood classrooms, from preschool classrooms up to older classrooms, is housekeeping. Housekeeping is one form of dramatic play where children act out the roles they might see in a house, such as being a parent, cooking meals, washing dishes, doing laundry, cleaning floors, being a child, being a baby, etc. So in housekeeping, kids get to act out things that they see at home and other imaginary roles. In housekeeping, you provide materials to support housekeeping, such as child-sized furniture, babies, pretend food, cleaning supplies, etc. So you provide the materials for the children to use in the housekeeping area. Pictured here are several different things that you might see in a housekeeping area. So our left has a small table and chairs. Upper left, we see some kitchen appliances. There's a sink, there's a stove, a refrigerator, a cupboard for storing dishes, etc. We see a washer or dryer, as well as a baby bed. Continuing with offer dramatic play every day, everywhere, I'd like to share that a complement to traditional housekeeping is specially themed dramatic play interest centers where various themes are offered, such as a doctor's office, vet clinic, car wash, etc., etc., etc. If you're working in a large classroom, you may have housekeeping with the typical housekeeping props, as well as a thematic dramatic play center at the same time. In smaller classrooms, you might have housekeeping out 1 week or 2 weeks, and then swap it out with a thematic dramatic play area and keep rotating like that. I also encourage you as a someday teacher to think outside of the box. So creative play and housekeeping and dramatic play can also take place on the playground when teachers introduce the props that are needed for outdoor dramatic play. So as far as introducing props and dress-up items, you want to be sure to provide ample props and dress-ups to create a variety of real-world situations. Again, some suggestions are a mechanic's garage, a restaurant, grocery store, campsite, or shoe store, just as a few examples. Another thing you might want to do is introduce props that go along with a project, a field trip, a visitor, or a special event. At a center where I worked, we sometimes got to take trips to the apple orchard. So if we were doing that, we would want to also set up an apple orchard in our classroom, complete with apples and baskets and scales and shopping carts and all kinds of things like that. Another recommendation is to make sure that you offer props that appeal to boys and girls and ones that reflect diverse cultures. Next, in our class presentation of this, we watch a couple videos illustrating dramatic plays. So I would encourage you to click on these and see if you can watch these while you're watching this at home. Next, we're going to do a visual tour of 5 dramatic play center ideas. I found a website called Pocket of Preschool, and it has a lot of really cool dramatic play ideas. So I'm going to share some of these with you. The first one is an ice cream shop, and this is a little sign that this author has. Pictured on the left here is the order window, so it shows the different things that they have here down below. There's a little sign made by children that says pay here with pictures of money on it, different flavors of ice cream, etc. Cash register, everything that you would need at the order window. Over here is the ice cream shop where the ice cream maker makes the different things. So on here you'll see various flavors of ice cream, and I think these are just different colors of cotton balls perhaps, or puff balls. Down here you see cups of different sizes, some whipped cream, some ice cream cones, etc. Things that the maker would need to make the ice cream. Again, shown here are the flavors, and up above the flavors, I see some order sheets. So when they're taking the order, they circle whether the person wants it in a cone or whether they want it in a bowl, perhaps how many scoops they want, what flavor they want, if they want a cherry on top, etc. So that's a neat way for kids who are pre-writing to be able to circle things to take the order. Over here, some ice cream scoop toppings. So we see some string that they've used to replicate chocolate sauce or strawberry sauce. And we see some cherries that are little pom-poms. There's some sorting that kids can do here. So they're sorting some bowls by small, medium, and large, as well as cups by small, medium, and large. Oftentimes you can go to a store if you're making something like this and simply ask them for things. Tell them you're a teacher and you're making things for your classroom, and frequently they'll be very willing to give you stuff. I did this at a Pizza Hut, and they gave me a bunch of boxes and different things that I could use in my classroom. And over here is a closer up picture of the ice cream shop where they take orders. They have a nice clipboard and then the paper's on the clipboard so the child can take the order and circle what the customer wants. More for the ice cream shop. Just some pictures over here of the kids making ice cream. And then I thought this was a cool idea to take a shopping cart, slap a sign on it, and you can have an ice cream delivery truck. Next station we're going to look at is a fire station to appeal to both boys and girls. This shows the various equipment that you need for a fire station. So we see some helmets, we see fire extinguishers, flashlights, a first aid kit, air tanks, etc. A lot of things for firefighters to use are shown here. I thought this was cool how they made fire extinguishers. So it looks like they took some spray bottles and wrapped it with maybe some red tape, and then they put a label on it to show fire extinguishers. So a cool way to make some lightweight fire extinguishers. They took some cardboard and made a house on fire, adding some paper to show some flames shooting out of the house. And there we see some firefighters at work. They're dressed up in their fire uniforms and ready to fight the fire on the house. There we see that there's some animals that they could put in the house so they could rescue the animals. Thought this was a cool air tank, some kind of a juice bottle created and made into an air tank with some perhaps elastic straps or fabric straps on it so the child could wear it. They made a fire truck out of some cardboard. So this shows the side of the fire truck, and then inside it just looks like they've got a line of chairs so the firefighters could ride in style and safety to the fire. A way to add some literacy to this one, they have an emergency report. So here they could circle whether it's a house fire, an animal rescue, a vehicle fire and rescue, and whether there were any injured persons. So kind of a neat way for kids to do something with literacy in the firefighting station. Number 3 of 5 I'm showing here is a garden shop dramatic play area. I had never seen one of these before, but they show this is the flower shop side, so a bunch of different flowers. You'll notice that everything is really nicely organized. There's a word label on each shelf so kids can get what they need and put it away when they're finished. Here's a place where children can do some sorting. When children sort anything, they're using visual discrimination to pay attention to the different attributes. So with this one, the attribute they're looking at is color, and they're sorting the different flowers by the color and putting them in the properly colored pail. Here's another ordering kind of thing where you might say, well, how many pink flowers do you want? How many red, orange, blue, etc. So they can write those numbers on there if they're able to write like that. And then I thought it was neat down here at the bottom how they had the numbers shown there. So children, if they forget what a numeral looks like, they can look down there and use it to help them write. Another thing that they had at this flower shop were some seeds. So you can talk about with children about how some flowers grow from seed and some flowers grow from bulbs. So they have different kinds of seeds and bulbs that they can pick and plant. And speaking of planting, here was a planting station showing putting some seeds in, and then miraculously some plants grew up out of it. Looks like some shredded paper down here that they've used for dirt, which was a good idea. A close-up of the planting station. So not only a good dramatic play kind of thing, but a neat tactile experience as kids are feeling the crinkly paper and squishing it and just enjoying the sensory activity involved there. Next one that I found was a construction site. So I thought that they made this a very visually inviting area. Kids are going to see all this caution tape and be drawn to it. Here are a lot of the different materials that children can build with in this construction site. Various pipes and boards and tubes and wires and wood and bricks. Just a bunch of different things that they can do. Also some books up here on construction that the kids can use those books. Here are the tools that this child will need to build with. So again, we see that things are nicely labeled on the shelves. We also see a water jug because construction workers need a water jug. See some safety cones that you can put out. So all of these are pretend tools, but kids would have a great time using them in the construction area. Another part of construction is digging the hole, making the foundation. So here they have brought in some, looks like some wood mulch, as well as a few trucks and put some heavy paper down on the floor. And this is the digging and excavating area. There again is that creative water jug and some pretend cups. And they also wanted to make this a print-rich area, so they've created an architect desk where the architect can draw what they're interested in doing. So they've shown some different parts of a building here, what a wall, ceiling, doors, stairs, etc. looks like, just to help kids as they're drawing what they want to build. And then another thing that they did in this area is they provided some blueprints that the teacher made. So picture down in the lower right here is a, looks like a castle with some different kind of towers and stuff. So the child might take that blueprint and they might set it down and they might take blocks to try to replicate what they see in the blueprint. So a cool way for kids to kind of follow some visual directions when building. Another thing is to add the math concept to this. So here we have measuring. So they have put out a yardstick. You could do a tape measure, various things like that. So kids can do some measurement when they're building. Next one shown here is an ice skating rink. Another idea I've never seen before. That's kind of the overview. I think it's cool up here how the kids made an ice skating rink sign to put up. Depending on the ages of the children that you have, of the students that you have, you may be able to have them help you as you create the different signs that you're going to use. Down here, we see that they put some sort of maybe a tablecloth or something on the floor, and this is where the kids do their ice skating. I thought this was a clever idea. So looks like some paper that's probably laminated with different numbers on it, so they can pick whatever shoe size they need, and they can rent the shoes that they need to go skating with. Also pictured down here is some scarves and gloves and backpacks. Up here are a couple balls and a couple sticks, and I'll let you think about what those might be for. Here we're seeing the skate by sizes, so the child would put their foot on and then they'd be able to slip around on the that tablecloth or whatever that white surface was. A shoe locker. You always want to give kids a place to put stuff if they're taking shoes off. It's helpful to create a shoe locker so they can put their shoes there while they're skating. You have provided a chair for the child to sit down while they're putting winter gear on. This is fun in a couple different ways. It's fun because it's providing some realistic stuff that you would wear while you're skating, and it's also giving children practice at putting on gloves and winter gear that they'll need to have and learn the ability to put on for going outside for real. They also have a snack shop in this ice rink. So again, we see a pay here. We see the different things that they offer at the snack shop. The popcorn looks good and the cookie looks even better, or maybe the hot chocolate looks the best. And here we see the order forms that the teacher has made up so the child can check just what that customer has ordered. And now you can see just what the basket and the ball and the pool noodle were for playing a little bit of ice hockey on the ice skating rink. And of course, you need to clean the ice every now and then to get off all the skate marks. So here they have a little shovel and a pail for cleaning the ice. So all of those were some super creative ideas for kind of a thematic, dramatic play center. Now we're going to look at some of the common characteristics that we saw in those themes. First one, relevant to children's lives. So a lot of children have seen a construction site. A lot of children may have been ice skating before. So you can pick themes that are relevant to children's lives, as well as some themes that kind of stretch the children, things that they may not have experienced before, like going to a flower shop might be a new one for children. Another thing that we noticed that they were very well organized. Children can easily find, use, and put away the materials when they are finished with them. That's helpful for the teacher and the children because cleanup is not a burden. Cleanup is just part of using the activity, and it makes the activity ready and welcoming for the next child. They used a wide variety of materials, so they had some really creative thinking of how they could make hockey sticks using those pool noodles. Just a real wide variety of materials that we saw used. Strong use of print. So each of those ones that we saw had a print element to it. It may be something where they were taking orders or writing down measurements, etc., making blueprints of a drawing. So a lot of strong use of print to help children develop literacy and language. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of teacher effort and development. So everything there wasn't done in an afternoon. It was done over a series of days, and the teacher really worked to develop that. The bad part about that is it takes a lot of time at the beginning. The good part about it is the next time you want to pull out that theme, you have it ready to go. So what I've done in the past is created a theme, put it in a big bin, labeled the bin clearly, and then when you're finished with it, you stick it in the bin. When you're ready to do it again, you pull it out of the bin. So while it takes a lot of effort to do it, it's really good to put in a lot of effort because then it's going to serve you well for years and years and years. Another common thing we saw was really diverse ideas. So really any theme that you can think of might be something that you're able to create for children to use. few more characteristics. Each of these interest centers we saw supported children's development in multiple ways: social, emotional, physical, cognitive, creative, language, etc. All of them were there, not just for children's fun, but as children are playing with them, they're developing valuable life skills. Another common characteristic that I saw is they use a lot of room in the classroom. So it's always great when you can have really large classrooms for young children, because they learn by play and it takes a lot of space to play. So each of them had lots of room. And the last characteristic to really emphasize to you is fun. Each one of these was designed to be a really fun area for kids. They're going to go to school, they're going to have a blast, they're going to learn that school is a good place to be, a fun place to be for them. So fun was the last characteristic that I wanted to point out. We're going to be doing 2 in-class activities this week based on our theme. Activity 1, we are going to do some brainstorming to create some thematic play areas. So we're going to use Jamboard to do this. So the students will each open up Jamboard on their Chromebook, and I will flash up whatever that theme is, and the students will have the opportunity to write down ideas of things that would be good to include in that area. So we will do several of those. Here's an example that I made up. So I said, we're making a hospital. What do we need to have in a hospital? I said, well, we could use cots to use as hospital beds. We could get some real x-rays and hang them in the windows so that we can see what bones look like on the inside of our body. We could get some medical tools, probably some pretend ones, stethoscopes, syringes, band-aids, blood pressure cuff, etc. We could set up a waiting room just outside of the procedure room, when we could have magazines for the people to look at while they're waiting. We could create an ambulance using cardboard, using chairs, maybe putting a cot in the back of it. But we could have something decorated like an ambulance, where we could hurry to pick up somebody who's hurting and bring them into the doctor's office. We could also have clothing. We could have a uniform for doctors and nurses to wear, maybe something for the patient to wear while they're being examined, that kind of thing. So I just slapped a few quick post-it notes on here, and in class we're going to try to think of as many ideas as we can to put together some really cool dramatic play interest centers. Second activity we'll be doing is we have 3 dramatic play interest centers set up in our classroom, and students are going to be playing there, kind of taking the role of the teacher, taking the role of the child, and really trying to pretend and see what dramatic play is all about through hands-on activity. So as we play in the Dramatic Play Center, I would encourage students to move around, to play in the different centers that we have, to take on different roles. You might be the storekeeper, the customer, the patient, the worker, the cashier, order taker, etc. I want you also to think about how playing in that area supports a child's development. We've learned a lot in this class about child development and how children develop in many different ways. It's very important for us to be aware of that as a teacher so we can support that learning. And it's also good for us to know that as a teacher, so when we're talking with a parent, we can say, oh, we had a fire station set up in our classroom, and it helped children develop so many social skills. Let me tell you about some of them. Or so many physical skills. Let me tell you about some of them. So it helps teachers to connect parents with an understanding of how children learn through play. The last thing I want you to do when you're playing in the interest center is to think about other things you would add to the center to enhance play and learning value. So oftentimes when we do an interest center at first, we start off with just the basics, but then as we do it, we think, oh, I could add this and this and this. So that is what we will be doing in our classroom this week. That is all for this quick presentation. I hope it helped you learn something. Thank you.